I finally hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's all because of you. So I wanted to take a few minutes to thank you for all of the support that you guys have given me. And I want to give you a little bit more of my backstory. So if you're interested in that, stick around and I'll tell you more. Hey everybody, it's Brian from Life After Layoff, and today I want to share with you my milestone that I just reached, the 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm absolutely blown away by. And I want to give you a little bit of context to my channel and why I started it. A lot of people have been asking me about my background story, so I'm going to spend a few minutes just kind of walking you through how I arrived at even starting a Life After Layoff to begin with, and what I was hoping to accomplish with it, and then kind of state of the union right now. So if you're interested in all that, I appreciate you sticking around. But before we get too far into it, if you're interested in more videos just like this one, directly from a corporate recruiter, if you're interested in career content and all that kind of stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, maybe hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future posts. First and foremost, thank you so much for helping me reach 100,000 subscribers, and it almost seems unreal. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. It just seemed like such a far off and lofty goal. And when I started the channel, I very distinctly remember thinking even 1,000 subscribers, if I could just get 1,000 people to watch my channel, I would have thought that was a huge success. And obviously things have gone pretty well and hit 100,000 subscribers. And hopefully that's just the beginning. But I wanted to thank everybody for the overwhelming support on my mission and what I've been trying to do. And I've gotten so many emails and so many messages and so many comments on my videos about people who have legitimately improved their situations and have found true value in what I have been trying to do in this channel, because it is a ton of work to put together the channel, put together the content. And there are times where, you know, the burnout's a real thing, and getting those messages just makes everything worthwhile. And I also wanted to recognize everybody who has sent me really kind messages through my website, through my LinkedIn pages, through my YouTube channel, on my comments, also on my Facebook, on my Instagram, even on TikTok. I know that I don't respond to all of those messages. I just simply don't have the bandwidth to be able to get back to everybody. But rest assured, I do read every single message and every single comment that comes through. I really do appreciate all the kind words of support. It is honestly what keeps me going on this channel. So that being said, I've gotten some questions about how I started my YouTube channel to begin with, or even what the genesis of Life After Layoff was. And so felt like maybe this would be a good time to talk about that, and then kind of what some of my future plans are for the channel and where I'm hoping to see things grow. So if you're interested in my background story, here's a little bit of why I started Life After Layoff to begin with. So kind of going back a few years, I've been working in recruiting for a variety of companies, and I was working for a particular company for a few years as a senior recruiter, and I was working in Chicago, and mostly remote, but I was working in Chicago, and we just had headed into the pandemic, and things were really going gangbusters before then. Before the pandemic, had high rec loads, and we were filling a lot of positions and all that kind of stuff, but suddenly with the pandemic, all of our recs kind of got put on hold. We actually kind of went into a mini hiring freeze right before the holiday season. But when the pandemic came, they started even cutting even deeper. So we were working on some like company-wide process improvements where each department was kind of looking at different things that we can improve in our departments. We went through process mapping and kind of different work streams, and so I was spending some time doing that, and I had some special projects that I was working on, but the rec load was basically down to zero. And anytime you're a recruiter that doesn't have a rec load, obviously that's concerning. Then, of course, the pandemic comes along and everything shuts down, and so you start thinking the writing on the wall. You start to kind of think the worst, but the company itself, in our town hall meetings, everything seemed to be great, and well, not great, but they seemed to be reassuring us that they were not going to be doing layoffs. I mean, that question was even specifically asked. Are you looking at layoffs? And they said, absolutely, we're not looking at layoffs. We're looking to redeploy assets. We're trying to use this as a time to kind of figure out our strategy and how we want to move forward. Around that same time, my family was in the process. My wife and I decided to relocate from the Chicagoland area down to Nashville. And since I worked remote, it wasn't a big deal. And I was kind of working. I had never officially gotten permission from my company to relocate outside of the Chicagoland area. But since I was working remotely, it shouldn't, in theory, have been a big deal. So my boss knew that I was going to be moving, and he was trying to get the official blessing from the people above him, and for some reason really couldn't seem to get it. But the writing was on the wall. I had already committed to moving, and so we basically packed up and sold our house, and we moved to Nashville. And so I was driving the U-Haul down. I remember parking the U-Haul on I got it on Friday, and then on Saturday we unloaded it. Then on Monday, I was going to take the U-Haul truck back to the U-Haul place, and then I was going to come back and start working. But early on Monday morning, I got a message from the CHRO of the company I was working for saying that they wanted to set up a time to speak with me. And so I kind of thought it was strange because I'd never really had one-on-ones with the CHRO. And so I kind of texted my boss and a couple other people and said, hey, do you know anything about this? And they said, oh, it's probably just a step level meeting. They really had no clue either. So sure enough, I started thinking to myself, probably potentially the worst. I had no recs. The entire division that I supported had no active recs at all. And so you kind of start thinking the worst. And sure enough, I got a call and had a very brief conversation with CHRO, who had indicated that they were making some tough decisions and that they were going to be downsizing a bunch of people, and my position was one of the ones that was affected. And this comes from right after they sat in a town hall meeting saying that they weren't going to be laying people off, and sure enough, it's like speaking out of one side of your mouth and then saying the exact opposite. So a lot of my channel content kind of comes from that experience where you have to act like a free agent and you have to look out for yourself because nobody's going to. And companies who give you these mixed messages, if you are not set up properly to handle them, it can be very catastrophic. And in my case, it was very catastrophic because at the time I had a 6-month-old baby, or 5-month-old baby actually, and our plan was we moved into a rental, and because we'd sold our house and we moved into a rental, and our plan was to rent for 6 months, and then we were going to look to start building a house. We wanted to kind of get a lay of the land and get an idea where we wanted to live, and then we were going to build a house. And so that's what we ended up doing. I got into the rental, and obviously when you get laid off, any plans at building or buying a house goes out the window. You can't qualify for a mortgage. So that whole thing came to a screeching halt. And at the time, I wasn't sure what I was going to do because you were looking on the news every day and everybody was laying off. It suddenly just became, and I'm sure everybody remember, it seems like sometimes selectively people don't recall, but in May, this is like May of 2020, around May, June, July of 2020, the market was absolutely horrible. Nobody was hiring. The companies that were hiring were basically, in my opinion, were taking advantage of the unemployed in the form of very low quality jobs. In a lot of cases, they were just offering contracts at the absolute lowest rate that they could pay. And I thought it was pretty predatory. So I had to go to my wife and I had to tell her, like, I got this call from the CHRO, and we kind of we were a little worried about it. And I said, sure enough, it looks like that's the thing. And she was extremely supportive, probably more calm than I was about it. But it took me a day or two to probably have the realization of what was happening sink in. And I ended up learning that several other, including my boss, actually got laid off as well. So it was a pretty deep cut. I decided pretty early into that. I think I mourned for a day. I had a day where I processed it, mourned, going through the stages of grief and all of that kind of stuff. Then by the night of the second day, 48 hours later, I was determined never to let a company determine my fate again. And I went to my wife, and I remember pacing back and forth in my room, and I said to myself, I had been thinking about doing career coaching for quite a while, and like I thought about resume services probably 15 years earlier, really early in my career. I was thinking about writing resumes because I saw so many really poorly written resumes that were not helping people. But I kind of put it on the back burner. But I remember pacing in my bedroom at my wife, as my wife was laying in bed, and I said, you know, I am not going to just sit around and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to start a website. I'm going to call it A Life After Layoff, and I'm going to build a channel that is going to help people get back on their feet as quickly as they can and realize their career goals, so that they would not have to be in the same situation, or if they were in the same situation as me, that I could help them get through this process in a more quick and efficient manner and get them back on their feet and even a better career path than they were in before. Long story short, the next morning I woke up. First thing I did in the morning was I went and I logged into, I think it was like GoDaddy, and bought a URL. Life After Layoff was available, so I bought that URL, and then I went off and I got a template site, and so I basically installed a fresh WordPress and got a template, and I immediately started coding a website. And I had done a few websites before, so it was something that I knew how to do. A lot of work, obviously, but it was something that I knew how to do. So I started building my website, and within, probably within 2 or 3 weeks, I already had a working prototype website up. And I decided that I wanted to start building out some training courses as well. And I actually used there was a training that I had gone through that taught you how to monetize and make a business out of your intellectual property. So in my case, recruiting knowledge. So I went through this training course and started implementing all the things that they were telling you to implement. And that's kind of how I built my business to begin with. And it's basically how to start a blog, and I will leave a link for it. It turned out to be absolutely game-changing, and I should say it turned out to be life-changing for me, implementing the strategy utilizing this blogging training. So that's what I started to do, and I knew early on that in order to get people to trust me, I needed to have a YouTube channel. They were talking about try Pinterest or try doing Google SEO, like writing articles, and I've been doing that, but I felt pretty early on that I needed to have a high level of trust with my audience. Otherwise, they wouldn't believe in the message that I was sending. So I decided that the best way to do that was through a video. So I started the YouTube channel. I got laid off. I got the notification of being laid off in May. I was officially off of payroll by, I think like mid-June. So it was like 6 weeks of like severance and all that kind of stuff. I launched my first YouTube video after I built my website out. I launched my first video sometime in, like, I think it was very beginning of July, either late June or early July, somewhere in that time frame of 2020. And I got literally crickets. It was like, if I had 5 or 6 views on all of my video, the first dozen videos that I made, it was like I had like 10 views on one. I think I started doing stuff on the stimulus packages that were coming out, and they were getting like 100 views or 150. I think I had one video that went to 300, and I thought the 300 views was like, oh my gosh, my video is, so many people are watching it. And I was like so proud of this. Then I started thinking to myself, like, I don't really want to be a stimulus package guy. There's people that do it and they do it well, and like that's not really what I want to do. I really want to get back to kind of talking about careers and talking about how to navigate career related topics like interviewing, resume writing, selling yourself to companies, really looking at your career holistically and from a bigger picture, and taking the ownership of this, or this, I guess, this love affair away from people dedicating their lives to a single employer and putting all their eggs in one basket, and then having things like a layoff come and smack you upside the head. And I really just made the focus of my channel on those topics, and getting these 15 to 20 views per video is it's pretty disheartening. But I always believed, and I used to tell my wife this, I always believed that the content that I was putting out was really good. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I believed that the the information that I was sharing was very valuable, because this was stuff that I would tell my friends and family when they would come and ask me like about getting jobs. This is the same type of advice I would give them. And I just used to tell my wife, like, if I could just get people to see it, I think that they would really benefit from it. The YouTube algorithm at that time didn't really agree. So I remember going through, it was November. I was driving to my folks' house for Thanksgiving, and I still hadn't hit 100 subscribers. And I think as on that drive, I actually hit 100 subscribers. So it was like 5 months till I even got my first 100. And so this is like November of 2020. And I remember thinking to myself, like, the only people who are watching my videos are like me, my wife. I would make her watch my videos. I had like a couple of friends. I knew my brother would watch them, and then my mom. So like I knew at least 4 or 5 of the views were from people that I knew. And then I had like 5 or 6 people that were like fans early on. So like I know I recognize those names still. Some of them are still around. So super big thank you to you guys who are on very, very early. But I started seeing, it gradually going up. It just started gradually, very slowly started going up. And eventually over Christmas time, I think I went from 100 subscribers. So I was like really happy to hit 100 subscribers. I felt like having below 100 was like really, really embarrassing. But anything like if I hit 100, at least I was like not like super duper embarrassing. I was just really embarrassing. And then my goal was if I could, my goal back then was just like, if I could hit 1,000, because that seemed like so far away. It took me 5 months just to get to 100. Just to get to 1,000 subscribers was even, that next level. And I kind of thought that would be my peak. Like maybe I'd be a channel at 2,000 subscribers, maybe 2,500. Eventually, but I figured if I could just get eyeballs on my channel, I thought that I was giving good content. Of course, never in my wildest dreams thought that I would hit 100,000 subscribers, and especially in a year and a half. I have another video that I made about the kind of the blow up of the channel and when it happened. And then the nature of YouTube I found is kind of like this. You have highs and you have lows, and you have kind of runs on some videos. Some videos don't do that great. And it's kind of like you find your equilibrium. So the channel has gone from kind of explosive growth to like more maturing growth, which is probably pretty natural and healthy. But as I've kind of grown, obviously my base has grown with it. And, here we are sitting a year and a half later, and it's been absolutely life-changing. And I've developed some training courses, and you hear me talk about them in all my videos. But I've built these training courses, and I started offering private coaching. I do some very limited resume writing. And then I have, a few other, I do some affiliate marketing and things like that. So a little bit of side hustles and stuff like that. But come to find out that I was able to replace my income about a year into it at 100. Actually made more in this past year at my business than I did ever working in a full-time job. So it has been absolutely life-changing. And kind of looking back, the layoff event, while it was catastrophic at the time, ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you're looking to try to duplicate that success yourself in your own world, with your own thing, that whatever it is that you're passionate about, I highly recommend that you check out the vlog training that I went through, because it's exactly the model that I implemented. And again, I'll leave a link for that if you're interested, but it's an absolutely game-changing approach to business. And the nice thing about the world that we live in with social media, there's never been an opportunity for people to be able to truly change their lives and get out of the rat race, so to speak, than there is right now with things like YouTube, Instagram, the social media, and honestly, TikTok is a huge thing. Right now, it's kind of blowing up. It's a maturing platform, whereas these other platforms like YouTube are pretty mature, so it's a little harder to grow. But things like TikTok are growing like weeds right now, and it's kind of good to get in early. So if you are looking to build a business, like TikTok is kind of a great place to be to try to do that. That's a little bit of my story, my background story. And I guess I should mention that I'm actually still actively recruiting, and I still have a full-time job right now. So I still am practicing what I preach. I'm still an active practitioner of the things that I'm talking about. So this is not somebody that's just a career coach or a YouTuber. I actually still continue to recruit to this day, and it's something that I'm passionate about. And so I give you real life examples and real life information. This is from an active practitioner of my craft. So kind of long story short is, I have created this business that is, to me, is something that I'm very passionate about and will continue to do infinitely as long as you guys let me do it, honestly. So all the engagement and all the thumbs ups and all the comments and all the support that you've given me is what keeps me doing what I do. You know, the YouTube stuff, it is very time consuming and it's very hard. And sometimes, you know, the burnout becomes a real thing. And there have been times where I have just needed to walk away for a few weeks just because you know, it's like the moonlighting thing. It does get to be tough. And I'm, you know, not going to lie that there have been times where I've doubted whether or not can I continue to do this. And early in, I could have very easily quit and walked away from everything. And, you know, especially when you put all this effort into something and you put a lot of work and time into building up an audience, and you put these, you know, you spend hours making video of a single video. And, you know, going till 2 o'clock in the morning. And then you have, you know, trolls who will leave these comments and they're just so insensitive. And it's like, there is times where I've admittedly gotten pretty frustrated with that. And, you know, it's like, there have been times where I've even thought, like, do people even really care about this? Am I just doing this out of like for vanity metrics or something like that? But the positive comments that you guys give me far outweigh the trolly people that, you know, that kind of come on and leave no value. So I want to thank you for all the really true support, because it's like for every crappy comment I get or every crappy sentiment that I get from somebody, I get like 100 or 200 really positive ones. So yeah, I kind of have learned to just tune out the people who are trolls, and I don't engage on people who are trolly, and just let them stew in their own negativity. So where it's led me to today is I have been really busy behind the scenes. I haven't been posting as much on my channel because I've been so busy with trying to do some maintenance type of work. If you've not been on my website recently, I actually just launched a brand new website. It's a kind of a new and improved version of my old website, laid out a little bit more cleanly. It's still a work in progress. I'm still cleaning up some things on there, some broken links and kind of how I want to lay things out. But it should be a lot better user experience. So I would encourage you to check them out. If you're interested in getting started in your own business as well, kind of doing what I'm doing, check out, there's a resources tab, and I'm leaving every tool that I've personally used to launch my business. I'm leaving all the links there. Highly encourage you to check that out. Eventually I'll do some content on how to do what I've done, because it's not rocket science. It does take a lot of hard work, but there are some tricks and some things that I've learned along the way that will really help others who are trying to follow in the same path. So check out the website if you haven't had a chance to check it out. I'm also in the process, as I record this video, I had developed a LinkedIn course and then was about ready to launch it several months ago, and then decided that it wasn't deep and rich enough. And so I kind of axed the whole thing and I basically rewrote it. And I have been furiously working on it over the last 2 to 3 weeks to get it ready to go. As I record this video, I am just about ready to start the actual developing of actually recording the class. And then I will be launching that. And it's going to be LinkedIn, but specifically focused on job seekers. So if you are somebody that is trying to unlock your LinkedIn or up your LinkedIn game, this will be for you. I also have some other training courses that I'm going to be bringing out as well, and I'm hoping to make those a priority. So I'm kind of like spending some time, not putting out as much content right now while I try to like get the infrastructure of everything that I'm trying to accomplish done, and then I'm going to go kind of blitz out a whole bunch of content. So I've also been spending a lot more time growing my TikTok account. And I know some of you have strong opinions on TikTok. I will say that you're TikToking. When you're on TikTok, you have to kind of train it for what you want to see. And if you just go on and log into TikTok for the first time, it can be the Wild West. It can be kind of scary. It can be kind of questionable. But as you train the algorithm for what you're actually looking for, it can be very valuable. And I've been having a ton of fun doing short form videos. So if you haven't gotten sick of me yet, go and check out my TikTok. I actually have a bunch more videos and a bunch more content on there. They're all short form. They're like 15 to a minute long, 15 seconds to a minute long. And I poke fun at recruiting a little bit. I give some more helpful advice on interviewing, on resumes, just general career coaching. I'm having a lot of fun building the TikTok up. So check it out if you want more content. So I guess it's another little addendum. My wife and I welcomed another son into our family about a month ago. His name is Colton, and we absolutely adore him. But so I've been really busy with that, obviously, and I've been taking some time to focus on getting used to the new addition to the family. But in the meantime, I've been building out these courses, and I've got a couple more courses already planned. So lots coming your way, especially if you're interested in supercharging your career, especially if you're interested in really landing that dream job, taking advantage of this extreme buyer's market that we are in right now. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, I'm not in a buyer's market. And I would say it depends on the position, but I can speak from personal experience. This is the strongest labor market I have ever seen in all my years of recruiting, both from being a recruiter trying to recruit people and from companies hitting me up to try to work for them. I've never seen it like this before. It's pretty crazy. So if you're interested in trying to take advantage of that and you don't want that wave to go, 'cause this market's not going to last forever. So if you're interested in making those changes, I'm here to help you guys try to navigate that. And all the training courses and all the content that I'm putting out are kind of to that end. All right, so I know I've kind of rambled on a lot, so I'm going to wrap this video up. Again, I just want to thank everybody for all of the support that you've given me. And here's to the next 100K. Keep those comments coming, keep those thumbs up coming, and keep those engagements coming. I really appreciate every one of them. So thanks for watching my ramble, and we'll see you on the next one.